We'll try to say the first mimer over in 10 minutes very quickly. It's a 4-page mimer in the new sefer that just came out, Yarech Lamadim, Rabbi Yocham Olshin. They just came out now with the 2-volume on Chanukah, brand new, literally within 1 week. Just got it off the shelf. I'm gonna try to say the first mimer in the sefer. Mamish consolidate it within 10 minutes. That's all the time that we have left. When we're talking about Yontif, the Yontif of Chanukah, the Sefer Yesod V'Shar Shavoda says, quotes a Tekuni Zohar, Mi bara Elu, who created these? What is Elu referring to? These are Moyadei Hashem, the Moadim of Hashem, the Yomim Tovim of Hashem. What are the Moadim of Hashem? So comes the Zohar, Elin Inhun Chag HaMatzos is referring to Pesach, Chag HaShavuos, it's referring to Shavuos and Sukkos. That's 3, those 3. There's another 3, however, that's Rosh Hashana, Chanukah, and Purim. 3 of them, aka Pesach, Shavuos, and Sukkot, they're called Moadei Hashem, Moadim of Hashem, Yomim Tovim of Hashem. However, and they're Mikra'ei Kodesh. However, there are the 3 others, aka Rosh Hashana, Chanukah, and Purim, are called Elohim Moadai, My Moadim. Hashem calls them My Yomim Tovim. So we see that now we have 2 groups of Yomim Tovim, that we have Pesach, Shavuos, and Sukkot that are grouped together, and additionally we have Rosh Hashana, Chanukah, and Purim that are called Moadai, a second group. So the question is, what is the special about these 3 Moadim, that Rosh Hashana, Chanukah, and Purim, that now they have their own group? They're called Moadai. Hashem calls them My holidays, My Moadim, more than the other Moadim, more than Pesach, Shavuos, and Sukkot that are called Moadei Hashem. Why are these called Moadai? Furthermore, why is Chanukah and Purim included with Rosh Hashanah to be called Moadai? Seemingly, they're incomparable to one another. The days of Chanukah and Purim are established because of great nisim that occurred, that Hashem performed for us. However, Rosh Hashanah is the day of the creation of the world, and that Hashem judges everyone. So why are Chanukah and Purim grouped together with Rosh Hashanah? In order to explain this, we have to begin with that which we find regarding the mahus, the essence of these 8 days of Chanukah. The Shulchan Aruch writes in the first Siman in Hilchos Chanukah, Siman Tafresh Ayin, that during Chanukah it's a time of hesped and tainus, of eulogies and fasting. Sorry, you're not allowed to eulogize and you're not allowed to fast. It's usher, behefsed tainus. You're not allowed to say a eulogy and you're not allowed to fast. And the Gemara in Shabbos Chaf Aleph says that on the 25th of Kislev are the days of Chanukah. 8 days, deloim lispod bahoin, delo lisanos bahoin. You're not allowed to eulogize, you're not allowed to fast. What's the reason? Why can't you perform a eulogy? So Lavush explains over there in Oz Gimel, Tafrei Shayin Oz Gimel. He says you don't give a eulogy so that we don't divert our minds from us being subservient and serving Hashem during this time. So we see that so that we don't divert our mind. So the question is, what does this mean, Hashana, that we're subservient to Hashem, we're serving Hashem during these days? What does that mean? Furthermore, what does that mean that we shouldn't divert our minds from serving Hashem? If the explanation is that we don't divert our minds from the mitzvahs of the day, if that's what that means, so why are we not allowed to eulogize the entire day? Aren't the mitzvahs of Chanukah primarily just lighting the ner in its proper time, saying Hallel in the morning during Shachris, saying Al Anisim whenever we daven and whenever we bench? So therefore, why is it prohibited to eulogize the entire day? We're not going to now nullify and not going to do the mitzvahs if we're going to be the mitzvahs of the day, if we're going to eulogize. What's the reasoning according to Lavush? What's the pshat that we're not allowed to have a eulogy during Chanukah? So the Alter Mikelm explains a beautiful idea. He says that the mitzvah of lighting ner Chanukah and pursuing Nisa, publicizing the miracle, has to do with Kesher L'Simin, to remember the Nisim, the miracles that Hashem performed for us. And that we will accept upon ourselves Ol Malchus Shamayim, the yoke of the kingdom in heaven, willingly and happily. So what does that mean? Why do we have to accept upon ourselves the yoke of heaven? How do we do that exactly? Through the mitzvah of lighting ner Chanukah. Wasn't the mitzvah established in order to publicize the miracle of Chanukah that Hashem did for us? So what does this mean exactly? What does the Chachma Musar means? What does the Alter Mikel mean when he comes along and he says that this is a time to accept upon ourselves the Ol Malchus Shamayim? What does he mean over here? So we could explain this based on a Maharal in the Guri Aryeh and Parshas Vayigash. And it's clear from the Maharal, is actually by the episode of when Yaakov met Yosef. After he hadn't seen Yosef for 22 years, he hasn't seen his own son. What did Yaakov do? He recited Shema. Why? So the Maharal over here explains that he connected to Hashem at that moment, and Yaakov realized all the good that Hashem did for him. That's Shema, that we recognize the oneness of Hashem, Malchus Shamayim, and the love that we have for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Therefore, he said, I have to say Shema over here. I love Hashem so much, I have to say Shema at this time. So we see that according to this Maharal, when a person receives good from Hashem, he has to have an awakening inside of his heart, a tremendous amount of love to Hashem, to the extent that now he wants to accept Ol Malchus Shamayim, the yoke of the kingship of heaven, upon himself in a lovingly and in a fearful manner. That's why Yaakov recited Shema, explains the Maharal. Based on that, we can explain the Alter Mikelm's idea over here, that the purpose of the mitzvah of Chanukah is so that we accept upon ourselves the yoke, the Ol Malchus Shamayim, the yoke of the kingdom of heaven, willingly and joyfully. Because when we light the neiros, we contemplate. When we light the candles on Chanukah, we contemplate the amazing, miraculous acts of miracles and kindness, great kindness that Hashem did for our forefathers during the time of Chanukah and the Yevonim and B'mei Matisyahu, Ben Yochanan, Kohen Gadol, etc. Chashmonaim. And then we have an awakening upon ourselves to accept upon ourselves the Ol Malchus Shamayim, the yoke of the kingdom of heaven, willingly and joyfully, because of the love that we have. This is why the Gemara in Shabbos and Chav Gimel says, someone deharagil b'ner, someone who is regular with the ner, which some explain is referring to ner Chanukah, he will have children who are tamid chachamim. So the question is, we see many times many people are careful with ner Chanukah and they don't have tamid chachamim. So there's many answers to this question. One answer is, the Alter Mikelm explains that the main purpose of the mitzvah of lighting the Ner Chanukah is to come to accept upon ourselves Ol Malchus Shamayim, the yoke of the kingdom of heaven, willingly and joyfully. So therefore, even those who are scrupulous, who are careful in the performance of the fulfilling of this mitzvah of Ner Chanukah, don't have the intention to accept upon themselves the yoke of the kingdom of heaven when lighting the Ner Chanukah, when performing the mitzvah. Therefore, they won't merit children who are Tamid Chachamim. That's one explanation. So now, based on this, we could explain the original question with the eulogy business. What does that mean? Also, what does it mean, Hachna? We're subservient on Chanukah. Based on the words of the Alter Mikelm, this explanation we could explain, since the purpose of the mitzvah is to accept upon ourselves the yoke of the kingdom of heaven, when we contemplate the miracles, the great miracles that Hashem performed, therefore we're obligated to be subservient in front of Hashem, the king of the entire world and the entire universe, to serve him, to accept upon ourselves that yoke. Because if we're not subservient, then we will be unable to accept that yoke upon ourselves. Like the Gemara in Brachos Yud Gimel says, it's paskin in Torah Shulchan Aruch that one is not allowed to recite Shema when he's lying down, when he's leaning down, at least preferably, not allowed to. So Rashi explains, because Shema, we accept upon ourselves the yoke of the kingdom of heaven, and if we're lying down, so then Rashi writes, that's arrogant. So the explanation is that it has to be done in a humble manner, not in a haughty way. That's what Lavush said, that when he said that we don't eulogize on Chanukah because it's days of Hachna and Avodas Hashem, that we're subservient. That's what Lavush meant. So that's pshat. Now we could answer why we're not allowed to eulogize the entire day. Based on the words of the Alter Mikelm, this idea of accepting upon ourselves the yoke of the kingdom of heaven doesn't just apply when we are involved in the actual mitzvah. Rather, this is the essence of the day. This is what Chanukah is about, accepting upon ourselves the yoke of the kingdom of heaven. Because the Gemara in Shabbos says, next year they said that Chanukah is going to be a time, they established it as a time of Halal and Hodah, which means praise and thanks. Meaning, the main avodah of the day is to contemplate. The main work of the day is to contemplate the nisim and the acts of kindness that Hashem did for us. And then we come with that for the recognition. We'll come with that recognition to accept upon ourselves the yoke of the kingdom of heaven, willingly and joyfully. Therefore, we're not allowed to eulogize the entire day, because the day is established as a day that we're subservient and we serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu and accept upon ourselves this yoke willingly and joyfully. Based on this, we could explain the Tikkuni Zohar that we started with. Excuse me, Chanukah and Purim are grouped with Rosh Hashanah. Because, as we said, the main avodah of Chanukah is to accept upon ourselves this yoke of the kingdom of heaven. When we recognize the nisan that Hashem did, these miracles that Hashem did. Similarly, Purim is a time when we accept upon ourselves this yoke, when we recognize the nisan that Hashem did also during the time of Purim. So therefore, this is why Chazal group Chanukah and Purim with Rosh Hashanah, because that is our job on Rosh Hashanah. That is what we're supposed to be working towards on Rosh Hashanah. That is the avodah on Rosh Hashanah, to accept upon ourselves this yoke. Like Chazal say in the Gemara Rosh Hashanah Tezayin, Amru Lofanim Malchios Kadeshim Lechuni Aleichem. We're making Hashem king on Rosh Hashanah. Rabbeinu Chanan over there writes, Malchios Shizakabel Malchusi Aleichem. We're making Hashem king on Rosh Hashanah. So it's the same exact idea over here. When we're accepting upon ourselves this yoke of the kingdom of heaven, same idea as on Rosh Hashanah. Same exact idea. It's one group, so therefore they're all going to be grouped together. Truth is, there's a slight difference. On Rosh Hashanah, we accept upon ourselves the yoke, this yoke of the kingdom of heaven in a fearful way, and simcha, and in a happy way. But on Chanukah and Purim, it's out of love, it's out of ava. So that's the difference between the two. But nevertheless, we see that they are equal in the sense that it's that all three Yom Tovim, Chanukah, Rosh Hashanah, and Purim are all about accepting upon ourselves this yoke of the kingdom of the kingdom in heaven, meaning Hashem. And then lastly, just to conclude, now we could explain why the Tikkuni Zohar said that these three Yom Tovim are called Moadai, Rosh Hashanah, Chanukah, and Purim, meaning days that are specific, that are designated to Hashem in comparison, unlike the other three Regalim, the other three Yom Tovim that we said, Pesach, Shavuos, and Sukkot. Because Rosh Hashanah, Chanukah, and Purim are just for Hashem, because their foundation, Yesoidim and Mahusam, and their essence, the foundation and the essence of these days of Chanukah, Purim, Rosh Hashanah is to accept upon ourselves this yoke of the kingdom in heaven, and to become subservient to Hashem with humility. Therefore, these days are just to Hashem. When we nullify ourselves and we accept upon ourselves the Ol Malchut Shamayim, that's why it's called Moadai. That's what he says. Okay. Mitzvah Hashem, tomorrow we will be Mamshech. We will continue. Reverend Shav, a wonderful day.
Mitzvah Hashem. All right, have a great day.
Yeah, have a good day.